Assalamu alaikum girls. Inshallah, this week we are continuing our practical topics on word processing. The focus for this week is on columns, tables, and images. You will find that some of these tasks you are already aware of how to do it, but you will polish your skills on it and also learn some new tasks today. And you will find that our practical lessons are a bit longer than the theory lessons we used to have before. This is because I need to explain in detail what are the tasks and how you have to click on each icon or option and where you have to go from there. So this will be explained in detail to you so that your task is easy for you to do. Our objectives for today is to figure out how to format any document into columns. Like, for example, if you've seen newspapers, a newspaper is a paper on which the text is not on as a single column across the whole text, but instead you have columns, right? For example, on the page of a newspaper, the text does not run from one end to the other. Instead, it goes as columns. There is one column of text here, there is another column of text here, and so on. And we are going to figure out how to do this in Word. Then we are going to insert some tables and edit some table structures. We are also going to merge cells, format the cells, color them, hide the borders, show the borders, all these sort of things. Then we are also going to edit images today. We will insert an image into the document and then resize it, wrap it, align it, crop it, etc. You would already be familiar with some of these because you've used it for other assignments in the past. Alright. So before we get started, let's go through some starter questions for today. The first question we have is, what is gutter margin? If you remember from last week, we discussed that gutter margin is the margin that is added for binding, right? So this is the correct option. This is the margin added to the binding side of the page when printing so that you don't lose any text while binding. Then the next question is asking, portrait and landscape are what? Are they page orientations, page size, page layout, or all of the above? And you remember this from last week that portrait and landscape are examples of page orientation. And what were examples of page size? Things like A3, A4, A5, etc. And page layout was the name of the whole tab that had all these options in it. The third starter question is asking, by default, on which page does the header and footer get printed? If you did your task for last week, you know for sure that by default, a header and footer comes on every single page. Alright. Like we said, out of the three things we are learning today, the first thing we are going to understand is columns. How to make your text into columns. For example, you can see a text over here that is as a single column and then it was made into two columns. So let's see how to do this. I have a demo file over here. Whatever text you want to convert it into columns, first select that text. Then come to page layout. You have used margin, orientation and size before, and today we use columns. If you already know how many columns to use, choose from here 2, 3, left, right. So for example, let's choose 2 and you can see that it was changed into columns. But sometimes the question also specified how much space should be there here between the columns. And if you just choose from here, you don't have that option. So what we have to do in that case is select your text, go to columns. Instead of choosing from here, go to more columns. More columns has an option for you to choose how much you want your columns to be, the number of columns. Also, there is an option called width and spacing. Width means the width of your column by itself. That is, one column is how big. Spacing means the spacing between two columns. This inside white space, how much it is. For example, let's change our spacing to 3 cm for example. Cm stands for centimeter. As I explained in the last class, if you don't write cm here, by default this will be in inches. Also, if you put a double quote, this will be in inches. But today I want centimeter, so I will write cm. And you can see 3 centimeter space is there between the two columns. All right, let's go back to our slide. So this is the first thing we learned today, how to make columns. The second thing we are going to learn today is all about tables. Inserting a table, merging the cells of a table, inserting, deleting rows and columns, all of these things. So let's see how this is done. I'm going to my demo file again. Let me leave some space on top so that I can insert a table here. All the options for table first start with the Insert tab. The Insert tab has a group called Tables, and this has an option to add a table. As you know, you can insert table from here by just selecting how many rows and columns you want, or you can go to the option Insert Table and enter the number of rows and columns you want. For example, I want a table with 5 columns and 2 rows, and I press OK. This is the table you have. Now, after creating the table, I feel that this was not enough. I need 2 more rows. Rows are like this, right? So how can I add 2 more rows? Once you have entered and inserted a table, a new tab comes up called Table Design. Table and Table Layout. These two tabs will help you to do all the things you want to do with tables. So let's see how to insert a new row. Click on where you want to insert a new row and look at all these options here, rows and columns. Insert a row above, insert a row below where you have kept your cursor, insert a column to the left of where your cursor is, insert your column to the right of where a cursor is. In my case, I want 2 rows below this, so I'm going to use insert below and I click on it 2 times to get 2 rows. Then I feel maybe these many columns I don't need. I want to delete this middle column I have over here. So put your cursor over there, come to delete this time and choose the option delete column. That will delete the column for you. All these things you could have also done by right clicking and choosing the options from here as well. Now let's look at what are all the other options available inside these two tabs, which are only for tables, table design and layout. The table design has the shading option here, which means each of your cells what shading color background you want. So for example, if it says my shading needs to be gray, I will give a gray background for my cells, for example. Another thing you can do is format the borders of your table. All the border styles are over here. Border style means what kind of border you want, and if it is specified in the question, you can do it from here. So for example, I want all my borders to be visible. Then the option you use is all borders. All borders should be turned on. If you don't want any borders, then you will choose no border. See, your table is being shown with no borders at all now. But of course, the table still exists here. But if I want all borders, I'm going to go to borders and choose the option all borders. So these are the options for border here. Sometimes you want your borders to be thicker and so on. Where do you have that option? Over here. Half point means only half point thickness, but you can increase all those values over here. Then your border painter gets turned on, and if you press on the borders you want to make it thicker, you can do that as well. Alright. Now let's look at what other options are there in the layout tab. The layout tab had these insert and delete rows and columns options, which we already saw. Sometimes the question says we need to merge all the cells and make it as one cell, right? For example, all these cells in this row, I want to merge it and make it a single cell. So select all your cells first. I will show you again. I'm selecting all the cells first and then choose this option called merge cells. This will merge all your cells together. Now see, it became one single cell. If you want to do the reverse, which is split them, put your cursor there again and go to split cells. This will ask how many columns you want to split it into. Choose your correct option and you're back. What are the other things in the layout tab? The layout tab has an option called increasing the row height and increasing the column width. These can be used to make your rows and columns thicker or fatter or thinner. So for example, I am in this second row over here and I want to make my row fatter because maybe I have more things to put in this row. So I click over here and then go to this option, and this is for increasing the row height. This will decrease the row height. And if it's the column you want to change, put your cursor on the column, increase the column width, decrease the column width. So now we have seen this and this and this. The other option we have is, if you have some text written in your table, how is this text aligned? Let me write some random text here. As of now, the default alignment is this one, which is top left. But maybe you don't want your text to be in the top left. You want it to be in the exact center of the cell. Then what you should do, select your cell that you want to change the cell alignment and come here, and you have 9 options here. This is top left, top center, top right. This is center right, center completely. This is center left, and all these other 9 options are here. For example, I'm choosing center this time. Sometimes even you want to merge some cells and then write some text over here. For example, timetable. But this text timetable, you want it to come in a vertical way like this, not horizontally. So what you will do is select it and then go to the text direction option. This changes the text direction within your cell. See, these are all the text directions you have available. Alright, now that we have looked at all the options for table, let's go to our slide and see if we have covered everything. So we looked at how to merge the rows, we looked at how to insert the table, how to apply borders, and how to do shading. We also looked at how to insert rows and how to delete the rows. So now we have an example of a sample question here. The question says, given a table, format the first row so that it is bold and underlined. That means in your first row, select all the text, make it bold and underlined. And you know how to do this already. This next question says, center align the row over 3 columns. This means that the 3 columns need to be merged, and you know how to do a merge. This will center align it in the middle. So that is the example shown over here. Then also it says that the first row needs to be shaded with a light gray background, and you know this is the option for shading. So this is a sample of a question that can come from tables. And we also saw how we can insert and delete columns. This was similar to inserting and deleting rows. We also saw how to put borders. Sometimes when the question asks you to put only an external border, then you only need outside border, this option here. When it says it needs all border, you need the all border option. And when it says no border, go for the no border option. The third thing we are studying today is all about images. So let's go back to our sample file and insert an image. The first step to inserting an image is going to the Insert tab, and there is an option called Pictures. If you go to Pictures and choose Pictures, it will ask you where is your file saved. So I know where my file is saved, and I will choose the picture. The picture is inserted, for example. Once your picture is inserted, you will see a new tab pop up that says Picture Format. This has all the options for changing your formatting of the picture, but I will go through only some of them today. One thing we want to understand is how we can resize the picture. So the way to resize your picture is either by using the arrows. This helps to resize the picture, or the size of the picture comes here as height and width. You can increase the height, for example, or you can decrease the height, increase the width, decrease the width. All these options are here. Sometimes you want to crop the picture, which means maybe you only want this part of the picture shown. Then you have to press on the crop option and crop the part of the picture that you need. Now let's look at how to wrap the image around any text that you have in your document. For example, I have some text here. So once you are clicking on the picture format option will come, and it has all the wrap options. A common one we generally use is tight. So let's click on that. And then if you resize your image, the text will come next to the image. Sometimes the question will say where exactly you have to move your image, and you will have to do accordingly. For example, if the question says the image should be exactly to the left of the text, then you have to do like this, taking a wrap, making it tight, and then moving your image such that it is exactly to the left and your text is on the right. Sometimes the question will also say what position it should be aligned, and these are all the positions you have available for you. Let's go back to the slides now and see if we have covered all the options of importing images. So you know that importing images from Insert tab, and the Format tab will allow you to crop or change the size. Changing the size can be done here or by using the corners of the picture. Wrapping can be done from Wrap Text option. Alignment can be done using the alignment or even using the Home tab, the normal alignment options. Let me explain today's sample task for you. So let's see what the task is about. The task starts off telling us to load the file jx1port21.rtf. So let's get that first. These are the three files we downloaded now. jx1 port 21. So I'm opening that file first. Click on OK. And always click on enable editing if you want to be able to edit the file. Then the question asks you to format the body text into two equally spaced columns with a 1 centimeter gap. So you need to select all the text, go to layout, columns, more columns, and choose the option 2 columns because that is what the question is asking you to do. And then it needs a 1 centimeter gap as well. So 2 columns, and the spacing between them should be 1 cm. So this is correct now. Then it continues and says before the first paragraph enter the subheading. You can do this. Identify the subheadings and make them all italic, sans serif and 12 point. You can do this on your own as well. I will show you an example of a subheading in the document. For example, this development, this is a subheading. Find all the subheadings and do what is asked in the question. Then it says to find the table, also make sure there is one line space below each subheading. Currently there is already a line space, so make sure it is there. And then you also need to find the table in export21.rtf and insert it at the end of the document. Export21.rtf is the other file given to you. So open that file. You will find a table inside this file. This needs to be inserted at the end of your original document. So click here, go to cut. This is the cut option. Come to your document at the end of the document and paste it here. So go to home, paste. Once your file is inserted, the table will look like this. Then let's see what the rest of the question says. It says to make sure the table fits within the column width and the font should match the body text. So you can see that it's already fitting within the column, but the font is not the same. So check what font this is. This is an Arial 14 and make your table also as Arial 14. Alright. Then the question goes on to say that you have to merge the cells in the top row across the 5 columns. You can do this. Format it to be center aligned and underlined. So merge this, make it center aligned and underline. And then you have to apply a shading to only the top 2 rows. So apply shading to this row and this row. Then the question says you have to set all the borders of the table to be visible when printed. Currently it is already visible. Then you have to insert the picture into the document, resize it to a height of 3 centimeter, maintain the aspect ratio, place it on the first page below the subheading a major regional port, aligned with the top of the first paragraph and aligned to the left margin. So let's see what this looks like. The first page refers to over here. So let's insert the picture here now. So I go to insert pictures and choose the picture from where it is saved. I know my picture was saved in desktop. So I insert the picture, and then the question says how it has to be aligned. It has to be aligned like this, that the picture is there and some text is there to its right side, because the picture is aligned to the left margin, right? You need a text wrap. So let's see how to do that. You need to click on your picture, come to wrap text under picture format, choose the option tight. Once you choose the option tight, the next thing you have to do is resize it. The question says it should be resized to a height of 3 centimeter. So I'm going to height over here and typing 3 cm. Once the picture is resized, you will see that already the text comes on the right side and the picture comes on the left side. So you are done with that question as well. Let's end for today with today's plenary. The plenary question asks, among these four, which button is the one to change the color of the area behind your text? The keyword here is behind. We know that if we need to change the color of the area behind the text, we have to use the highlight button. And if we want to change the color of the text itself, then we have to use this text coloring button, and this one is used for shading of a cell or a shape, and this is your usual format option. Thank you girls for listening to today's lesson.